Hi, my name is Fredrik. I'm VP Technology at Soundtrack Your Brand, which is a company that does music streaming for businesses. So you can think of us as Spotify for businesses. Um, I've been with the company for roughly 10 years, and we have been using GraphQL for a really long time. I think we deployed the first version of our GraphQL API 7 or 8 years ago, just after Facebook released the first reference implementation. So we've been using GraphQL a lot and have been growing with GraphQL a lot, while sort of as the GraphQL ecosystem has been evolving, we've been evolving with it, and our usage of GraphQL have been evolving with it as well. So we had been using Apollo Studio, now GraphOS, for 2 years, I think, and with Apollo's change to their business model, that didn't completely align with the way we were using GraphQL. So we basically started, or decided to start looking around for what alternatives were out there, and we very quickly stumbled upon WunderGraph. And I think our initial contact was a Discord chat late at night, and we or I got a really good impression, and we set up a quick initial meeting, and quite quickly realized that there were a lot of things that were aligning, or a lot of stars that were aligning. Where we really connected with WunderGraph was that we shared a lot of the same principles and values. So for us, it's really important that GraphQL in its entirety remains an open ecosystem. And we were seeing parts of the market moving in the completely opposite direction. And meeting with the WunderGraph team and talking with them and the founders, we quickly realized that we have the same vision of where we want GraphQL to go as a technology. We want it to remain open, we want it to remain standardized, and we want it to remain competitive, because they were just also able to technically deliver a solution that much more closely fitted the needs that we had as a company. So with both those boxes checked, it was basically a no-brainer for us to start a partnership with WunderGraph and get going with a pilot. I think we made the decision within a week from first contact. That's how much we both like the people behind WunderGraph, but also the technology itself. Some of the benefits we've seen so far with WunderGraph is we have quite a bit of quite complex, hairy queries, and for our most complex queries, we've seen quite substantial performance improvements, which was really nice and really unexpected. But Cosmo seems to be able to plan our queries in a smarter way than our previous provider. And also the studio itself has made sure that we were able to both maintain our current productivity that Federation had unlocked, but with a lot of the features that Cosmo now has, we also see quite big future productivity improvements. For example, the support for federated subscriptions will both remove a quite complex piece from our current infrastructure, but that will also sort of play into the ability for different teams to autonomously ship real-time functionality to the end customer. So I really think that over time, the productivity increase we get out of Cosmo will only continue to grow. And due to the flexibility of the deployment options, we were also able to save cost, because we didn't need all parts of the platform. So we were basically able to opt out of parts of it and only pay for what we actually need and what actually brings us value, which was fantastic on WunderGraph's part to be able to provide that flexibility. I'm kind of blown away by the productivity of the team. During that time, they've released numerous features that are quite cutting edge and that I haven't really seen any other supplier on the market even have. The innovation rate that they're keeping up right now is mind-blowing. So some of the challenges we faced was that we have a quite complex schema that's been growing over 7 to 8 years. So a lot of old decisions that may not have stood the test of time. So when we getting Cosmo running, I think we did that in less than a day, essentially. So that was trivial. What we ended up discovering when we got started was that some of our more complex queries for the hairier parts of our schema was not working. And we worked very closely together with the WunderGraph engineers to sort of figure that out and debug that. And in the end, that was a combination of actual errors in our schema, that some parts of it wasn't valid, even though our previous provider had not sort of noticed that or complained about that. And some parts was that for some, we hit some edge cases in Cosmos query planning when combining multiple abstractions in GraphQL, like interfaces and unions, and doing that at multiple levels. We ran into some edge cases. In the engineers on WunderGraph side were absolutely amazing to interact with. So we worked extremely closely for the time it took to resolve, and they were very attentive and very responsive and very friendly. And I think that's one of the things we have really enjoyed during this journey that we had no idea of when we started. So collaboration between the engineers at both companies have been absolutely amazing, and we have a super fun time when we work together. And that's been extremely refreshing to work with a provider that we get to talk and interact directly with engineers from the get-go, and instead of having to jump through 3 levels of account management. So the Cosmo guys were extremely supportive and helpful, and we were able to figure everything out together. And now everything's been running in production for a couple of months, and everything's been working fantastic so far.